Hi everyone, welcome to the 2019 State of the League Address. As your commissioner, I am happy to announce that the state of our American Fantasy League is fucking fantastic. Actually, I just wanted to say that I really am happy with this new timeline. I got refreshed, re-energized, just did all the work on the site myself this off-season. Last year I had Steve-O help me out because I was just burnt out, but just having this couple months off was really beneficial. I hope you guys are enjoying the extra time off too. That being said, the first things are in order is to congratulate Chad from the Rolling Thunder. Chad is one of the original owners. Nobody is on the site more than Chad, other than maybe me. So congratulations to the Rolling Thunder and Chad. Great win last year. Congratulations. With that, I would actually like to talk to the new owners. I want to thank the new owners for coming on board. Thanks for sticking around. I've seen some of you are already on the new site, and that's great. Again, I just want to thank you because I know that some of you have taken over some teams, sometimes not under the best circumstances, or maybe you've taken over a bad team, or just one where it could have been in better shape for you to take it up. So I just want to let you know, thank you, but also I want to let you know that we are going to make some changes to the league, just some minor changes, but I want to prevent that type of thing from happening where an owner just quits in the middle of a preseason and basically screws over a new owner. So I want to go through a little bit of the changes that we can make going forward. But before I do that, I want you, the new owners, to know that there are some mechanics built into the AFL to help bad teams improve, and also to make it difficult to have a competitive team for a really long period of time. Obviously that does happen, but we're based on the NFL, and so we do have some mechanisms in place and help them be competitive. And actually, throughout our history, we've had several examples where a team has gone from worst to first. So just because you may have taken over a team in questionable state, there is some hope in the future for you. So the first thing that we do is we are a salary cap, a dynasty league where there's some risk built into long-term contracts. Basically, the longer the contract is, the more guaranteed money you have to give. So because of that, we have a lot of different contracts in the league that all expire at different times. So because we have a lot of different lengths on our contracts, our free agent market is fairly robust from year to year. Also, with our roster limitations, I always try to strike a balance between being able to maintain a roster of talented players, but also to maintain a healthy free agent market from year to year. Hopefully we always have a robust, and obviously some years are better than others, but we always want to have a robust free agent market every offseason. Also, I want you to know that with our salary structure, all salaries will increase by 20% every year, but our salary cap remains the same at $140. We take performance bonuses, so if you have a really good team one year, the following year you have a little less cap space because you have to pay for these performance bonuses that are kind of baked into the your player contract from the year before. Because of that, those ever increasing salaries, those performance bonuses, and a constant salary cap, that means from every year there are always cap casualties. Now what is a cap casualty? Well, basically it's just players returning to the free agent market because there just isn't enough cap space on their existing team. So an example of that is a player's contract expires and the team could put a tag on them. However, because of the way we calculate our tags, that team just doesn't have enough salary space to tag the player. So obviously that player just returns to the free agent market. Also, too, if a team can't afford a player, when we activate the salary cap, that means that he might just have to drop that player. So obviously our waiver wire is a worst is first basis. So if those premium players with an expensive contract get dropped, You can pick them up off of waivers, because hopefully if you have a bad team, you'd have first dibs on those players. And then finally, there are some cap casualties where basically a team must trade a player. Obviously, you're going to want to try to get some value out of that player before you just cut him. So, they try to trade that player first. So I guess my advice is, if you're new, go in there and look at those rosters, look at those teams that don't have a lot of salary cap left. Also remember that any empty roster slot costs $1. So some of those teams are A, over the cap already, or B, very, very close. So those are the teams that you want to maybe try to start negotiating some trades with, because that owner would rather get some value for that player before he has to cut them. Again, so even that trade from a team with some salary cap challenges can also be considered a cap casualty. In the AFL, we have very stable divisions and very stable conferences. I really, really resist the urge to do what I call radical realignment, where we just change the entire look of our divisions and conferences. Sooner or later, like I said, if we can limit the turnover of our owners, I wouldn't mind maybe moving one or two teams, maybe one per division, do a little bit of realignment. But again, I want that stability within our divisions and conferences. And the reason that is because of our robust free agent market, the way, that these cap casualties come into play, the powerhouse teams and divisions and eventually conferences kind of rotate from year to year. So one year, one division might be really, really strong, or they might have 2 or 3 really, really strong teams, but eventually those players will leave those teams and then go through free agency or trades or whatever those cap casualties are into other divisions. So if we just magically realign all these teams, well, then we're going to kind of lose some of that ebb and flow of competition that makes one division strong versus another over the years. Because of that, there are 4 teams in each division, and all you have to do to make money in this league is win your division. Really, you have a 1 in 4 chance of doing that against the same competition every year. The division winners win 10% of the pot, so that's usually around $200. So that's all you have to do is win your division once or twice. You've made a profit basically on the league over a couple of years. Also, know when to rebuild. Basically, hopefully there are windows in this league where you have windows where you are a really, really good team, and you also have windows where you are a really, really bad team. So hopefully if you're taking advantage of those mechanics built throughout the league, you'll know that, hey, I've got several contracts expiring in 2 years, and those are some key players. They're getting to be too expensive. In 2 years, I'm going to rebuild. Now, obviously, if you know when to rebuild, you need to know how to rebuild. The first trick is you don't have to spend the $140 every year. Obviously, this past year in 2018, I believe my league salary was only $80. So I paid just a little bit over half of what the salary cap is. I had a decent season. I had some wins, I had some losses, but I think I had the most wins per dollar ratio, in the league. So again, know that window, know when you need to rebuild, and know that you don't have to spend $140 every year. You can dial that salary back during the year or two that you're going to rebuild, and then ramp it up as you become more competitive. Obviously then too, if you're in a rebuilding phase, trade some talent that you do have for future draft picks, multiple draft picks. You probably might know just by looking at some of the trades, there are definitely owners out there who are in that window where they are 1 or 2 key players away from winning a championship. So those owners will, make a trade for multiple picks within the future because they can win now. Obviously, that is your chance to rebuild in the future. If you know that you're going to rebuild in a couple of years, you can make that trade for 2 or 3 draft picks in 2020 or 2021. Then you are stocked with some draft picks to rebuild that year in your rebuilding window. Obviously then too, build through the draft. Some of our owners still underestimate our draft. I think it was back in 2012 the NFL adopted their new collective bargaining agreement, and when they did that, they enacted that rookie wage scale. So now their rookie contracts were a lot less than they used to be. And because of that, there's a lot of value. So obviously we did that too, where our players are so cheap, it's insane. So just an example of that, Patrick Mahomes, the best player in the league, is $2.80, and he will be just over $3 next year. Our draft is insane. It's actually such a great deal to get really talented players for cheap. What our draft allows you to do under our collective bargaining agreement with our fantasy players, a rookie will not hold out for 3 years. So you can lock a rookie up for 3 years and get all of his productivity for that price, in which you got him into the league. So again, Patrick Mahomes is the best player in our league, and he's $2.80 this year, and he's just super cheap. Also, keep in mind that the last half of round 1 and the first half of round 2 is a gold mine from that talent to dollar ratio perspective. Typically, those players are they equate to about the 3rd to the 5th round of the NFL, and they just have they can have a lot of talent. Again, Mahomes was drafted at the 12th pick in the first round. If one of those players catches fire for you, you are golden, because you have lightning in a bottle and it's dirt cheap. So anyway, remember that those players won't even hold out typically in that range until at least year 4 of their contract. Even if they don't hold out, then you always have that 5th year option then for players taken in the last half of the first round, or basically for any first round player. So again, just rebuild through the draft. You've really got a great chance to get some really, really good players for cheap through our draft. Earlier, I had mentioned that we're going to implement some changes coming up to hopefully increase the stability of our AFL ownership. The first way we are going to do that, and I touched on it briefly, was our new timeline. I personally, I love it. I hope you guys have liked it too. I know some of you are probably itching to be on the site in March like we used to do, but I just think that this new timeline is really going to help us retain those owners, where we're just not doing this fantasy football league 24/7, even in the off season. The second big thing that I would like to announce is that when we open up our league on day 1, I am going to require that every owner puts in a $70 deposit into their league safe account before you can do any transactions in the league. So before you can trade, before you can drop a player, before you can make a waiver, before you can even offer a trade, you've got to put a $70 deposit into your league safe account. Well, this will do a few things. Obviously, one, it will act as a non-refundable deposit to hopefully prevent an owner from quitting in the first place after they've started, the season in year 1. Then 2, if that owner does quit after the deposit is made, the new owner would then get a $70 discount, because they would put in half of the fee, and then half of the fee is already in there from the previous owner. That way we don't have to take that discount out of the pot. So that benefits everybody, the new owner and any existing owners. Obviously then too, if an owner doesn't pay within a week or so of day 1, we can at least reach out to him and say, hey, are you interested? Are you just having trouble paying? Are you thinking of quitting? And if they are thinking of quitting, we can just get on finding a new owner right then and there. Obviously, then that new owner would benefit from not having the prior owner make any bad decisions or any, missing the draft, something like that. Speaking of the draft, if an owner misses the draft entirely, I think I'm going to go ahead and automatically give them the best player on the board when it comes to their turn to draft. Now, in the NFL, teams do not miss the draft. That just doesn't happen. We're fantasy, so I'm trying to maintain the integrity of the draft, which will then maintain the integrity of the new owner and his team, which will then also maintain the integrity of the league. Now, obviously, in the NFL, if a team misses the timer, the draft pick goes to the next team, and they can choose to pick. And then as soon as that team that misses their pick, they would have the chance to make the pick whenever they do. However, if an AFL owner just misses the draft, there's no chance to do that. I just think we need to really maintain the integrity of the draft, which will then maintain the integrity of that team and then maintain the integrity of the league. So we're going to do that from now on. Thank you very much. Believe it or not, this is our 15th year. That's awesome. Thank you guys who have been around since the beginning or near beginning. Thank you very much for sticking with this league. Thank you to the new owners who have taken over some teams in some not so fantastic circumstances. Now, as always, smash that like button, click subscribe, all that crap. Just kidding. Anyway, also down below there is a link to, in the description, there's a link to the 2016 to 2018 scoring analysis. I'm also going to put an official thread on the message board. Thank you very much for watching. The state of our league is strong, and good luck in 2019.